Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation for CIS 9467, the midterm assignment, New York Restaurant Inspections Dashboard. My name is Carlos Guderi. Throughout this presentation I will be utilizing advanced Excel command. I will be presenting a management dashboard for visualizing and analyzing restaurant food inspection results. I hope this dashboard can be used later by the New York City Health and Mental Hygiene department to focus resources and improve food quality in our city. Before we move on, I would like to first introduce you to the overall data. Every restaurant in New York is scheduled for an unannounced inspection once a year once it has completed unbiased system to ensure public safety. The result that will be analyzed is a structure and contains about 370,000 rows and about 15 columns. That equates to approximately 6 million fields of structured data. That data is updated weekly and provides very current statistical results for evaluation. Obviously, this data can be processed in Excel in its current form, but you will see later that I have decided to take a subset. This subset arrives to comparable results while allowing Excel slicers and charts to work properly. Finally, and for the purposes of the analysis, I wanted to focus on where, who, on what. This data has location, restaurant names, and code violations, allowing viewers to pinpoint problems areas around the city as well as the type of offense. It is my intention that New York City management utilizes this information to prevent the buildup of problems areas. If we are able to analyze type, location, and involved firms, New York officials will be better tool to focus its resources and prevent growth of non-compliance. Over here we have the link to the data source for the New York City Open Data database. So what are the key research questions? So as I said, the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene can utilize this data in several ways, one of which would be to determine how and where to allocate the resources across the 5 New York City boroughs. For initiatives such as adding or increasing seminars and workshops in food safety and how to obtain necessary permits. Knowing this, for our analysis, we will look at where the New York City Department of Health should target for additional food safety efforts and why, based on the data provided. We will examine which violations qualify for food safety violations and where New York City has the highest concentration. Now moving to the dashboard. Here's the general dashboard that I will be the viewer walking through. It contains several different data points starting from bottle to food violation type to the type of restaurants and the type of offense score by food type. The dashboard also contains the slicers that we'll be showing later, and then finally the dashboard has a section for the violation code legend, especially being used for the violation code, so it will be easier for the user to filter the data and quickly find out the type of non-compliance that is behind the code. The overall Excel spreadsheet has multiple tabs starting from the right and moving to the left. Here we have the raw data report that has been obtained from the New York City Open Data database. It contains several columns that we will not be using for the result, but it is important to highlight the key output variable, which would be the offense score, and then the total amount of rows, which will be in the realm of 370,000. Still, however, working with this amount of data, I found it not being very productive. Slows down the Excel and did not yield any new results, so I decided to take a subset of the data by taking the most representative cuisine, the type of restaurants, and the type of food violation to basically limit the amount of the available data. And here is the follow-up chart, which contains far less columns and contains the name of the restaurant, the borough, the cuisine description, the type of violation, and then the overall offense score. So here, just to help a little bit the end user, we have included conditional formatting in order to help quickly pinpoint which type of restaurants have achieved higher grades than the others. So basically how this works is column K is the output variable. The offense score has a scale that starts from 0 all the way to a maximum. However, the New York City Health Department assigns grades so the consumers can better identify the type of restaurants, starting from grade A, which is the amount of offenses have not reached 13 points. Then B grade, which basically is an intermediate level, will have a non-compliance score between 14 to 27, and grade C will have a score equal or higher than 28. There is one more grade that is pending grade, which normally applies to those restaurants that basically have earned either a B or a C, and they have some time to basically go out and challenge the findings. Now moving to the pivot score, the food pivot score. This contains the type of cuisines, organized in descending order by total, and then the average value. So I have taken the average value on top of the total, because not necessarily the absolute value of a certain factor would be the total, or would represent the total picture. Sometimes you just need to see the average, which will represent basically the middle point of each one of the distributions. So here we can see that first we're coming the American type of food, and then in descending order to coffee, Caribbean, and pizza. Again, we have used conditional formatting to help basically the reader quickly pinpoint those areas that may have bigger issues. Now moving to the next slide is the pivot table and pivot chart for food violation codes. So the type of violations include multiple different items, from surfaces that are not well maintained, which is actually the 10F, to have identified food that has been undercooked or has been kept at temperatures higher than 41 Fahrenheit when they are at rest, meaning they're not being cooked, to actual building problems and general cleanliness that may increase the risk of having vermin or rodents inside the premises. Restaurant violation. Pivot contains the list of the top 10 restaurants, again in descending order, starting from total score all the way down, and again keeping the average score. Now in this graph, as well as the violation code pivot, we are basically using not only a column chart, but in addition we are using a line chart that will help plot the average score in addition to the total absolute values of offense for each one of the restaurants. Now finally, moving to the pivot chart and pivot table for the New York City boroughs. Again, here is more the geographical angle of the data, including the 5 New York City boroughs: Queens, Bronx, Staten Island, Brooklyn, and Manhattan, and the total percentage of total offense score, just to get a little bit of an understanding where most of the concentration lies. Again, we'll see a couple of use cases later where this information can be useful. Finally, we are moving to the dashboard. So the dashboard contains several items, starting from the top left with the bottom with the pie chart, and then moving to the right with the food violation type, then offense score by restaurant, and then offense score by food type, and then the slicers. Now this representation can be used in multiple different ways. I'm just going to present a couple of use cases. Let's say, for example, that if management is deciding where to send the Manhattan inspectors for for a recertification assignment, then the user of the dashboard will first click on Manhattan, which is over here. And basically this will show that if we are sending the inspectors, it would be better focus efforts on Starbucks, which has a higher level of non-compliance. However, if you see the remaining restaurants, there might be still some appetite to send inspectors to, for example, Domino's, or for example Golden Crust, because they have higher values, average values. The end user will then come here to the slicer and clean the filter. Another example would be, let's say that if we are preparing for a meeting with Starbucks, so we will come in here, we'll select Starbucks, and then we would like to know, okay, which are the top offenses that Starbucks has. And then we can see over here on 10F that most of it comes from the non-compliance code 10F, which is non-food contact surface, improperly constructed, using unacceptable materials or materials that cannot be easily cleaned out. Well, so this might be very helpful, because if we are meeting with the management from Starbucks, then we can, for example, discuss the setup of an investment plan for their stores and maintain compliance within a mutually agreed timeline. We'll come back here now, we'll clean the slicer, and another final example could be that, let's say, New York City is one of the main gates into the United States when it comes to tourism, right? And we want to expose tourists to good American cuisine. So maybe we'll like to filter by American cuisine, and we'll like to see, okay, which are the restaurants that basically contribute to the most amount of food violations. And we see here McDonald's, Kennedy Fried Chicken, Dunkin' Donuts. Again, we can have discussions with those installations, also having in consideration the type of violation codes, and help them put in place programs to improve their performance, and at the same time improve the overall standing of American food overall, especially when it comes to tourists. So this is basically in a nutshell what it is. I hope that you have liked the dashboard, and I hope that it has responded most of the questions. If you have any additional ones, feel free to contact me. Thank you.